Emisión.net.
Hello again and welcome to Letter from England, broadcasting for AC Press and the Spanish Evangelical Alliance. My name is Jonathan Dawson. The Pope has called on Africans to resist what he calls evangelical sects. The unholy alliance of the Pope and the Spanish media is at it again, calling evangelical churches sects or cults. The publication of a book about Protestantism, due out very shortly, aimed at Spanish journalists, politicians and other public figures, cannot therefore come too soon. It also appears to be necessary against a backdrop of complaints that the so-called religious right in Spain is anti-ecumenical, and different positions have been taken up with regard to the proposal that the Federation of Evangelical Organizations join the Conference of European Churches. Well, that later, but once again Catholic sources are talking, in the context of a papal visit, of the danger of evangelical sects, making sweeping generalizations with no serious criteria whatsoever. Sometimes a news snippet is used to justify such generalizations. So, for instance, Spanish state television reported on March the 21st from Luanda in Angola some serious but generalized accusations against evangelical churches, which, according to the broadcaster, quote, offer miraculous solutions to all kinds of problems, from stomachache to the return of an unfaithful husband, for a sum of money. The reporter argued that evangelical churches have grown better in Africa because the Catholic Church's arguments are more intellectual, and at the same time berated the attitude of an evangelical pastor as measured indifference when, according to the reporter, he showed little interest and claimed to know nothing at all of the papal visit. They carry on as if nothing had happened, says the reporter with evident surprise, but tell their followers things about the papal visit between miracles. In the report, the journalist reminded viewers of an incident last year when the authorities in Luanda found 40 youngsters, some of them babies, with burns on their hands, who had been kidnapped by an evangelical church. They hadn't eaten for 2 weeks, she said. However, she gave no further information to set it in a wider context, but building on this undoubtedly serious crime allegedly committed by an evangelical church, then she went on to generalize about the activities of all evangelical churches in the area. ABC newspaper joins in the general crusade against evangelicals. Referring to Cameroon, it says, in a country where Catholics make up 26.7% of the population, it's about 4 million people, followed by Muslims at 22%, Benedict XVI expressed his concern at the strong growth of Pentecostal sects from America, and at the proliferation of esoteric movements and superstitious religiosity. At the same time, he warns against relativism. Against that backdrop, the Pope called on prelates, Catholic that is, to promote the education of young and adult graduates and intellectuals. Well, it's hard to credit Benedict's words. Which institution worldwide has been the greatest purveyor of, quote, superstitious religiosity, unquote, if not the Roman Catholic Church itself? Yet while one might expect this from the ultra-Catholic ABC, one could hope for better from El País. Alas, in their comments on the papal trip to Cameroon and Angola, they remark that the two nations have the oldest Catholic communities south of the Sahara. And in Angola, they say, 60% of the population profess this religion, although in the last 10 years there has been an avalanche of evangelical sects who offer the Catholic Church active competition. Reyes, a Catholic Latin American watchdog on the cults, speaks of a war between evangelical sects and the Catholic Church, and also recorded the Pope's call to Cameroon's Catholics to resist the growth of cults, words which may well have been intended for Angolan ears also. Well, one could go on quoting media outlets who say much the same thing, and not just in Spain, but the world over. Which leads to the question, is the Pope trying to defend Catholicism or attack evangelical and Protestant Christianity? The facts on the ground suggest both. Well, it's in the light of these papal comments and comments reported widely in the media that the Federation of Evangelical Organizations has shelved a proposal to join the Conference of European Churches, an organization including liberal denominations and churches, as well as evangelical ones. Well, the Federation has reacted in Spain to the wave of criticism over the proposal that it join this conference as well as the World Evangelical Alliance, saying that it has agreed to get more information about the extent of the commitment which becoming a member would entail. In other words, the proposal's shelved. Now, the proposal was heavily criticised by the Evangelical Council of Galicia. And yet, a letter from Manuel López, a member of Madrid Evangelical Council, is highly critical of this Evangelical Council of Galicia move, calling them and the Spanish Evangelical Alliance the religious right, and accusing them of blocking moves by the Federation, the organism which represents us all, he says, preventing them from, and I quote, being in the natural international forums, firstly the Conference of European Churches, and then the World Council of Churches. Well, while López blames what he calls the religious right and the anti-ecumenism of the Evangelical Alliance and the Evangelical Council of Galicia, it's worth recalling that the ecumenical charter of the Conference of European Churches talks of the common faith shared by Catholics and Protestants, and implies that it's inappropriate to evangelize the one to the other. Well, this would wipe out almost at one go virtually all evangelical witness and outreach in Spain, where most people, at least nominally, call themselves Catholics. The Ecumenical Charter also calls for the two churches to recognize one another's baptism, something that the Catholic Church, of course, would never do, and something that most evangelicals would not want to touch with a barge pole either. So if being anti-ecumenical actually means standing up for the truth, and being a member of the religious right means making clear what the gospel is, what baptism means, and what true faith in Christ is all about, well then I, at least for one, would have to sign up to those labels. Now López writes, in the light of the later decision made by the Federe to shelve, well, at least to ask for more information, which means shelving the proposal, to become an associate member of the Conference of European Churches, and he claims the decision was influenced by a branch-like group within the ideological orbit of the Evangelical Alliance. His way of describing the Evangelical Council of Galicia. Actually, it's organically and legally part of the Federation and has no institutional links to the Evangelical Alliance whatsoever. And the vice-chairman of the Alliance, Manuel Suárez, has refuted this vigorously and claims López has made a grave mistake in that respect. But surely, against the background of the papal remarks that we've commented on earlier, it's highly inappropriate for the representative body of Spanish evangelicals to join an organisation which claims that there is no difference between Catholics and Protestants, whereas when the very Catholic Church itself calls us sects and cults. Confusion reigns. Thank you for listening to Letter from England, broadcasting at AC Press and emission.net. Goodbye.
Emisión.net